evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Benton Harbor Commission meeting. I'd like to begin the meeting on February 19, 2019, with an invocation. Commissioner Harrelson.
Father, thank you for your loving kindness, and thank you for your tender mercy. Bless each and every one that's here in a special way. Let them meet on tonight. We ask in your name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Present.
Commissioner Henderson. Here. Commissioner Henry.
Present.
Commissioner Isom.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present.
You have the floor.
Is there a motion for the approval of the regular minutes of February 4, 2019? Motion made by Commissioner Adams,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing? Motion made by Commissioner Henderson, supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Nope.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the update from our Honorable County Commissioner, Manny Yarborough.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Muhammad, Commissioners, citizens. My name is Mamie L. Yarborough. I live at 228 Territorial Road, Benton Harbor, Michigan. And I thank you for this time. And what I want you to do is to kind of listen to the dates, write some of them down, see if you can attend some of these things. I think it's very important. This Thursday, February 21st, at the Berrien County Commission meeting at 8:35 a.m., there will be a presentation by Rob Cleveland of the Cornerstone Alliance. It's going to be regarding the use of the harbor. There is talk about a water taxi. Berrien County, being a government entity, can write grants and propose grants. And so I'd ask you as city commissioners and any residents that can come to come and listen and see what the proposal is. Thankfully, Benton Harbor is included, in this route that they're looking to make. Then I would like to let you know that there will be some tax hearings done on Saturdays. There will be one in Benton Harbor, and it's on Saturday, March 2nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it's being held here at the City Hall. And I thank you all for allowing that to happen. At the Benton Harbor Public Library is where we usually have these, and the first Friday and Saturday are furlough days for the library, and so the library is closed. And somehow the treasurer thought to get in touch with the city, and I'm not quite sure the logistics where it'll be, but probably on this floor and using a number of rooms, because a lot of people come. And what can happen then, about the final time, the final day, that you can enter into a payment plan so that you will not lose your property. And there is one in Niles and another one in Berrien Springs on other Saturdays. But I say to you, it's Saturday, March 2nd, 2019, from 11 to 3 here at City Hall. I attended a transportation meeting. It was with the League of Women Voters, and it was held at the Consortium building on Main Street. And I just ask you, plead with you, beg you, that should you see something about transportation, about Twin City Area Transportation Authority, which is yours, would you go? You need to be there, you need to listen, you need to hear what people ask, you need to hear what people say, and Dial-A-Ride is so valuable. I didn't know how valuable it was, and it was said that day, Alex Little, director of Dial-A-Ride, was there, and he said Dial-A-Ride has been working for 42 years. They should have closed, they should have folded up, they should not be. And somehow the transportation is spinning based on TCATA. And I wonder why they don't just leave them alone and go ahead and build their own thing, their own garage, their own wreck trucks, their own propane tanks, their own buses, and constantly getting new ones, and employees that have been there 20-something years. You know, don't, please go to these things and read and see what's going on, and don't let it be torn up. That's what I say. I go to things, I don't even know what it is sometimes, but it says transportation, it says Dial-A-Ride. So you gotta be there and gotta pay attention and gotta say something, speak up. The final thing I want to tell you about, my pastor, Kenneth M. Gavin, and First Lady Jerry O. Gavin have retired. They retired December 31st, 2018. And we're having a retirement celebration for them on Saturday, March 16th. It's going to be at Lake Michigan College. It will be dinner, and Sinbad will be the entertainment. So I hope that you'll write this down and remember it and see about getting tickets. I don't have any tickets, but I can get them. And so celebrate our pastor emeritus with us. And it's kind of my job to get resolutions and things from governments, but I almost think that he probably was a city attorney for the city of Benton Harbor at some point or other. And those are the things that I know. Happy New Year to you all. Healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to citizen comments for those who like to participate in the public participation. Please register with the city clerk and she will call you accordingly.
Raheem Abdullah.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank you for this opportunity. I had some things that was on my mind. One biggie, you know, because I look at it, you know, this is a city, when I was a commissioner, we was always here to accommodate people, especially when they want to come here and establish businesses and also tell us that they was going to hire some of our people. We just threw it all in for that. You know, we still suffer from the same situation. People want us to accommodate them. But why don't they accommodate us? How come they don't help us, whoever the powers that be, to get a grocery store here for the city of Benton Harbor and its people? You know, people's tired of dealing with these foreign people. I don't have a whole lot complaints about them because they don't bother me, but I see how they treat other people. And you mean to tell me we got to constantly go in and out of situations like that when we can, brilliant minds I'm looking at, get together and come up with some kind of feasibility study of what can we do to get a store where our people don't have to go over in St. Joe and be looked down at. They don't have to go to Barron Springs, they don't have to go to Eau Claire, but they can shop right here in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Something wrong with that picture. Everybody wants everything, but when it comes to a store or something that's going to be positive for the lives here in the city of Benton Harbor, we don't get nobody that want to move on that. So I just said, let's consider that. Another thing, I had a person come to me about paying their taxes. Evidently, they must get ready to lose their property or something. But they come here and ain't nobody here. I don't know if they paying their taxes here or whatever, but they should be given the opportunity, because don't nobody want to be outside. They should be given the opportunity. I don't know if she gave me the story right or whatever, but I told her that I would bring it to the commission and see what was going on. So that's another area, you know, if we're gonna run this city as a business, which it is, hey, let's accommodate people. Let's have somebody here. Everybody don't take lunch breaks at the same time. So this is what I was told. So, and I would like, I got 8 minutes. I'm still hearing them cars roll over that hole right there in front of my house. Ain't nothing been done yet. And I wish somebody, you know, I wanted to see the city tax pass, and I did what I could do to pass it. But as I ride through the city of Benton Harbor and I see all of these big holes, they look like craters now. And ain't nothing being done with it. I'm having second thoughts about that. I wish I would have supported something like that. So I want to see our commissioners get busy on that and make sure that that money is not going anywhere else, but to repair the holes or what needs to be done here in the city of Benton Harbor. Thank you.
Mrs. Abdullah?
Let's sure do a repeat. How's everyone doing? Hope you're good. I complain about the hole between my home and the Winers. When it was just a little hole. Now it's really big. It's really huge. And when I complained, they said he was going to do something about it. At one point in time, you could just throw something in and fill it up. Can't happen no more because it's done sunk in. It amazes me how I can hit a pothole, and I go and call down here, and he said, well, go to the police department and file your complaint. And then when I go to file it, I have to stand there and wait, and I get tired of waiting, I just leave. You can call down here at 9 o'clock in the morning, by 11:30, you might be able to talk to a live person. It takes that long. You don't leave messages on the commissioner's phone because all of them full. Nobody picks up the phone down here. There is no operator actually answer the phone to give you direction where you need to go. I know the number by heart, 927-8400. It's programmed. It's sad when you live in a city, they don't have a grocery store. It's even sadder when you go to another store and you know you're not wanted.
Money.
Yeah, the money's good. But the same money I spend there, I could spend here. The same money we spend everywhere else, we could spend here. It is really crazy that I go to Aldi's and buy a gallon of milk for $1.41. And I see someone from the gas station buy 10 gallons of milk and sell it to you for $3.41. They're robbing us blind.
You got that right.
They're robbing us blind. They can go to the store and buy a loaf of bread for 89 cents and sell it to you for $3. Because you can't go any further than the gas station. You don't have the reliable sources to get out there. It's pitiful the way they treat us in our city. But we respect theirs. All this, going to have a little shovel boat going along and pedaling the big down by the river. I heard that already. They already got those plans already. All they need to do people is just sign on the dotted line. That's what we usually do. 95% of us don't read it, but we sign it. One before I'm 70 years old, I like to see one thing happen in this city. We take it and do something with it. I've been complaining about Hull Park forever. Now it's so bad, the trees is laying down and the water's all the way up, almost to the road. It's sad. It's really sad. Think about, if you don't think about anything else, think about the babies. But they go do this summer. Think about the children that go come up in this city. Or when they graduate, they go run and leave the city and never look back. We gotta start thinking about our future.
Thank you.
Michael Hoy.
Good evening, Council. Michael Hoy, just wanted to share with you, thank you for the consideration for passing the historical tax credit. I'll be up in Lansing on the 26th in support of this measure. Thank you so much for the possibility of passing that resolution this evening. Along that measure, I want to bring to the city again the possibility, the feasibility of creating what they have done in Philadelphia, which is a tax on abandoned buildings and vacant buildings. This is a book that was done in 1954. A lady went around and she sketched in all the buildings in downtown Benton Harbor. A lot of these buildings are still sitting vacant. A lot of these buildings have not ever been updated. A lot of these are just sitting on a tax roll. They're not being utilized. They're not being brought up to code. So what Philadelphia did is that they proposed a unfurbished tax on those property owners to get them to move on these properties, to bring them up to code. The longer that they sat, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, the more that they were taxed. They were brought up to code so people would be friendly to go in there to go ahead and start their own enterprise. Because once you get a piece of property that sat there for 15, 20, 30 years, then you have to bring it up to code. That's more expense out of that proposed person's pocket. These properties have been sitting here for 30, 40 years and haven't moved. The city needs to look at this. We are a home rule city. I've already looked at this. I'll be bringing this to the legislative body. I'll be bringing this to the economic development body. I'll be bringing this with some really good teeth in it. We really need to look at what's going on. I just drove back behind Wolf Development back over there. There is so much encroachment of things that are going on back there that nobody is really paying attention to. I know we don't have an enforcement person right now, but what is going on in some of those buildings? What's being taken place in those buildings? Some of them are, if you look at them, they're ready to collapse. Who owns those properties? Who has those properties? And we need to really start to look at that. Thank you so much for that consideration, but we really need to move on this for the betterment of the city of Benton Harbor. These families have been sitting on these properties for 20, 30, 15 years without anything being, not even heat inside the buildings. How are we going to move as a community if we don't look at putting something underneath these individuals who have these properties and put some bite into it? I want to share with you that I have just been gifted the original autobiography from John Clock. This is the original of John Clock, his own personal autobiography. This is different than the one that's in publication, which I shared with you earlier. We only thought that there was only 1 or 2 left. This has the coat of arms and how the family came into the coat of arms. This is a book that he actually wrote since he was 15 years old from his childhood, and this book has never ever been seen that I know of in existence in the city of Benton Harbor. So again, thank you for your time, and let's do something with these vacant buildings in the city of Benton Harbor, please. Thank you.
Emma Kennard.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want to go back to our last meeting here. And I've been upset ever since that meeting was. Because as a presentation was brought to us about our roads that were going to be repaired and when, I had saw some of the residents come and ask questions. And at the end of the night, the mayor had the audacity to tell these people that these were professionals. What's that got to do with you asking questions and wanting answers about the roads that they plan to fix first? And you know, I think it's wrong for you to sit in a place and people can't ask questions, and at the end, you tell them these are professionals, they know what they're doing. These people are gonna make some money off of you too. So I don't see nothing wrong with getting a second opinion about anything that's going on in our city. When you go to the doctor, you don't want this doctor to tell you he's gonna cut your leg off or something. You want a second opinion. So I don't see anything wrong with getting a second opinion, and for one of our elected officials to come at us like that. That makes a lot of people not even come. Then they said there's no participation in Benton Harbor. That's why. Because they feel like they can't come and speak their mind without being beaten down. And we're talking about the roads. He was talking about which ones would be fixed. And the roads are just tearing up our cars. And they can say, well, this has been, well, when we came here it was like this, and then we were under this and that. But what have you done since you've been in the seats? Since that's been lifted. So I don't want to hear any excuses about who was here before you. These roads need to be fixed. We're tearing up our cars, and the bills is not going down. Taxes is going up on us everywhere. So these are some of the things that is concerning the people here in Benton Harbor. It's just so many things to sort of elaborate on. But that's where my concern was from last week. And I watch how a person treats you when they're in these seats and want to be re-elected. That tells you something, who's electable.
Marvin Haywood.
Good evening, everyone. As always, we're going to flip this coin again. You know, if you deny truth, you deny reality. And that's the worst thing you can do when you deny truth. You know, facts is facts and truth is truth. As we move forward over the last 20 years, everybody can see the condition of the city. And we can see that from the past, any and all deals that have been made that have not been in our best interest. You know, and we know that there's been a takeover of the city, and we know that gentrification is at the forefront with all the people that's moving in and all the people that's being pushed out. When we talk about this city, those individuals that have been put in certain positions, just like with the Southwest Michigan Planning Commission when we was talking about Dollar Ride. You got people making plans for the city and don't even stay in the city.
Right.
You got people that's having meetings about this city and what's going to be done and don't nobody attend. So who is actually making decisions? Just like with this ordinance, the code of ordinance, building and regulations. See, every time they want something to where it would benefit them, they would come and ask for a resolution for it. Okay? So we just have to look at the facts of what's really going on. And when you talk about common sense, it don't really cost a quarter, you know. And if you cannot sit here, you have to really ask yourself, what am I doing? I would rather a person just give up if they don't know what's actually going on from a state or federal level to just let the seats go, you know, because you can't deal with an individual who you say you want to make your ally when you know your ally does not have your best interests at heart. They do not have our best interests at heart. Just like she was talking about when Chris come up in here with that sideshow, that was just a show. They've been doing it for years. How can somebody else make decisions that's in our best interest that don't even represent or have an invested interest in this city? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then the people that we have in certain positions, Archibald was assessor for years. Archibald did a great job. How can we not have brought back Archibald? Make that make sense. Somebody that knows what the underlying positions of the individuals that we are adversaries with. You know, and so everybody knows what's really going on. But when you deny the truth, you're not living in reality. And when you get caught up in somebody else's show, at that point you will see their doctrine as a reality and it's not in your best interest. And we have to be very careful because we know the powers that be. They don't want us here, we know this. But for us to sit here and act like everything is hunky-dory, you got to be crazy. You got to be. You got to be.
James Duncan.
Man, he crazier than that. I see the look, but I don't care. I really don't. I lost a lot of faith in some of you guys. I just say that. I ain't pointing no fingers. But I know we all should be doing better than what we're doing. We work for them, we do everything we can for them, and we get nothing. We get nothing we even ask for. Citizens ask for something, we don't get it. And the only ones we can depend on is the mayor and the city manager and you guys. And in that order, and a lot of the things that's happening, I myself see you guys don't even know it. You don't know it. And it's only because it's not a laughing matter, because right now I could slap somebody. But I ain't violent anymore. We have to have more sense than what we have, otherwise we run to the store, you talk about the store, run everywhere we go to somebody else. Somebody who don't care anything about us. And why should it take us so long to get something? Man down here trying to get a store on Pipestone, been trying to get it for 1,000 years, feel like it to me, because the place still sitting there looking the same way. It used to look worse than that. City Hall, churches, all our buddies and all our friends, and we get no store. We get nothing, but they can do all kinds of different work on the city. And you guys don't even know about it. Just like you didn't know about over here on Pipestone. I didn't know it either. My cousin lived in the building. They're doing all that work, making us park somewhere else. She's 400 pounds nobody understood any of that. But in these last 53 seconds, I want you to know everybody, and it's all the same people. You've seen us for years, because we the complainers that everybody want to turn their damn nose up and look at and act like we the problem. We have a problem, all right, but it ain't the citizens. With Mr. Chair, could I get 3 more minutes on my time?
No, sir.
Well, thank you. This was testing. That's how we are treated, though. And I want you guys to know, I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate being dissed in no kind of a way. And we've been dissed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. For all those who participated in the public participation, this brings us to our consent calendar items. Are there any items that should be separate?
Is it a possibility, Honorable Mayor, to
Recognize Commissioner Henry.
Yes, adopt a resolution waiving the previous year penalties under the Michigan General Property Tax Act. I would like to see that with on the discussion. There were some questions asked during committee, and I would like those questions answered in this meeting.
Duly noted. Commissioner Adams.
ordinance amendment to the City of Benton Harbor Code Enforcement Chapter 11, as well as establishment of income limits and asset tests for 2019.
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, we are asking, excuse me, asking that the first ordinance, the ordinance amendment to the City of Benton Harbor Code of Ordinances, Chapter 11, be taken back to the committee for wording, and we're asking that that be removed at this time from the agenda until a later date.
There would need to be a motion to remove the item from the agenda.
Motion to remove item.
Motion made by Commissioner Adams. Is there supported by Commissioner Singleton? Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
Yes.
On the consent calendar, those that are not separated. First is the appointment to the Board of Review, Mr. Eddie Marshall. The recommendation is the Ben Harbor City Commission to appoint Mr. Eddie Marshall to the Board of Review for an unexpired term ending on September 8th, 2020. The next resolution is a resolution in support of the reinstatement of state historic tax credits, Senate Bill 54, House Bill 4100. Recommendation that the City of Ben Harbor endorses and supports both Senate Bill 54 and House Bill 4100. Calls upon the Michigan legislature to pass this important legislation and Governor Whitmer to sign it in order to stimulate appropriate development and redevelopment and to protect the historic character and quality of life of our communities, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Michigan Historic Preservation Network. Next is a resolution to accept letters of protest from city residents for March 2019 Board of Review. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission approve the acceptance of the letters of protest from city residents for March 2019 Board of Review. Next is resolution to provide for alternate starting dates for March 2019 Board of Review. Recommendation that Mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission approve providing for setting of alternate March 2019 Board of Review dates. Those are the items on the consent calendar for your consideration.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Adams and supported by Commissioner Henderson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
Yes.
Motion carried.
First resolution that was separated for your consideration is establishment of income limits and assets tests for 2019 for the City of Ben Harbor. The recommendation is that Mayor Muhammad and the Ben Harbor City Commission approve the establishment of the 2019 income limits and asset tests for the City of Benton Harbor.
Is there a motion for the approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Adams and it is supported by Commissioner Harrelson. This opens it for discussion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Mayor Muhammad, if City Manager Watson could, please explain more of this to the city residents. Exactly what this entails.
Okay. Mr. Manager.
The Michigan compiled law allows for the city to establish income limits and asset tests for the exemption or the reducing of taxes. The city has to set the income limits and the asset tests on an annual basis. So what we've done, last year we had an income limit and asset test. So as a practice that we have to do it on an annual basis, we're asking that the income limits and asset test be set for 2019. So when a resident comes in at the March Board of Review and makes a request to lower or exempt themselves from taxes, paying taxes at a reduced rate, these are the limits that would be applied to the application that would be submitted to the Board of Review for their consideration.
And that's only for the purposeful use of city government.
That is what I guess I don't understand, Commissioner.
I guess I asked that question, Mayor, is because when a person is bound by an income limit and they apply for something and there's a specific limit of income that they have to provide, and sometimes by way of documentation of their taxes, and if this is something that follows them on their tax filing, and I'm thinking, is it something that could be a plus as well as a negative towards them and what they're trying to achieve in the form of credit or something else even?
No, Mr.
I don't know, I'm just,
Mr. Manager.
No, ma'am. What this is if a resident shows a hardship in the ability to pay their property taxes,
okay,
there's an application that accompanies this that they have to list out. There's a number of questions that have to be answered. So that application is then submitted to the Board of Review. The Board of Review uses income limits and the asset test along with the other information that's provided in the application to make a determination if the property taxes, because of a hardship, should be reduced. So it doesn't affect their overall credit. It's just specific to property taxes for the city.
okay, well, Mayor, just one
I
last
do,
thing.
Commissioner.
If you could just explain
Commissioner,
what
because-
exactly has changed from years before to this.
Okay, I just do, I want to say, excuse me, I do want to give everybody an opportunity to speak. So, please be mindful of, 2 and 3 questions at once. According to Robert's rules, we're only supposed to speak one time.
Now we know how.
Hey, I'm trying to be better. Mr. Manager.
Commissioner Adams, what the income levels are set by the federal government. So those are income levels that we adjust and adopt every year, and those come down from housing and urban development, and that's where we get those numbers from. So they are adjusted based on what the federal government deems as those limits for a person of a family of 1 to a family of 8, and then the additional one. So that's where that number comes from. And then the asset test just rolls on an annual basis.
Commissioner Singleton, did you have your hand up?
She did, she must have been reading my mind. That was the next question I was gonna ask too. But it's been answered. So.
Thank you. Does the city assessor would like to weigh in?
I'm by no means an expert on income taxes. However, I believe there's a homestead tax credit on your income taxes. And I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that takes into effect the amount of property taxes that you paid versus your income. And so if you were to apply for this hardship exemption and have it be granted, that very well could affect your homestead credit that you get on your income taxes. So that would just be something for the taxpayers to be aware of, that it very well could have that impact.
Just
Commissioner Singleton.
one last statement to add to that. They also, if you get say if you go to apply for a hardship, this year, it don't mean that next year you get it. So you have to apply every time you have a hardship. So I think that should be noted too.
Thank you. Call for the question.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next item for consideration is waiving of a resolution to waive prior year's penalties under the Michigan General Property Tax Act. The recommendation is that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission approve the waiving of penalties under section 211.27B of the General Property Tax Act for years prior to January 1, 2019. Additionally, the city clerk shall send a certified copy of this resolution to the city assessor and to the director of Berrien County Equalization Department.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion made by Commissioner Adams,
Support.
supported by Commissioner Singleton. This opens it for discussion. Commissioner Singleton.
I just asked for a little more clarification on that from the manager.
On what part, sir?
Basically, what this entails.
Okay. In accordance with MCL 211.27A10, it requires that when a person or when property exchanges hands, there is a property transfer affidavit that must be filed with the local assessing office within 45 days of that transaction happening. If you don't do that, the municipality can impose fines. And the fine, if you would like me, I can read what the fines are. But your fines are dependent upon how much money the transaction is. What we're saying is that for all the transactions that have transpired prior to 2019, January 1, we would waive those fees or those fines for previous years. But anything going forward, because the lion's share of people don't understand or even know that they're required to file that when property changes hands. So this is not being punitive, but from this point forward, you will be notified. And then going forward, if you don't do it, then we would assess the fines on the properties based on what the statute says.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
So correct me if I'm wrong, am I understanding that there are some that may owe taxes and we're going to forgive them for some years past?
Not taxes, Commissioner.
Okay.
Just for not
we're waiving the taxes owed.
We're waiving the penalties.
The penalties.
On not filing a property tax after they transfer.
An actual document. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
This did come through committee. There's a lot of questions answered, and when I asked about how many actual businesses and landlords were in that group, the answer was there was a lot of residents as well. So I'm just thinking about business owners. They're savvy enough to not do it and don't get charged for it. What does Benton Harbor need? Another source of revenue. And we're giving them, and I say, if you're a landlord, you're in the business. You're a business owner. I don't think that the law even recognizes ignorance. I really don't. So now it might have been that some residents bought a home on a land contract or bought it a quick deed. But what about that home, that real business person that's transferring and making a lot of money and we get nothing? Now, staff says they can't do it because they don't have enough people to do the work. And I'm going to vote no just for that reason. Because it's our money and it's wrong to come in here to our community and do wrong things and not have to pay for it. If it was me, they'd say, nope, Miss Henry, you got to pay for it. And I'm saying business owners ought to know better. And it's probably a lot of money that they owe us. So, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner Henry, as we said at the committee meeting, we said that it was all but impossible unless there was a paper trail to track how many times something has changed hands. The other aspect of it is this. We would then be, again, we couldn't pick businesses and just apply it to. We'd have to apply it to everybody because it would be the law that it's real property, whether you're a property owner as a homeowner or as a business owner. So to not be punitive to anybody. We're saying waive them previous and we move forward. Because with a staffing level of 2 people in the department, to go and check every property to make sure how many times it has transferred hands, some 4,000 properties, is a daunting task, and you would have absolutely nothing else be done for probably the better part of the year. That's why the recommendation is to waive them and then go forward where we know we can track them at that point, because you're talking about historical data that doesn't exist. That's the reason why we're making the recommendation of waiving it for previous years, because it's too hard to put that information together.
City assessor, I'd like to have weigh in.
My points have pretty much been covered by the city manager. Number one, you can't pick and choose who you're going to assess a penalty to. If you choose to assess a penalty, then it's going to have to be assessed to anybody who should, have failed to do what they were supposed to do. So in that case, I mean, our taxpayers, our homeowners, are a brunt of that. Not saying that they did it on purpose, but they probably didn't know that they had to file this form. And I mean, just looking, I mean, you're talking, a couple $100 in penalties. That could really hurt, a homeowner. They may not have a couple $100 to come up with, and I would hate to see that cause them to, go into hardship over something that they had no warning, whereas if we start now and give them warning, at least they have an opportunity. They're told, look, here's what you have to do. And then if they choose not to do it, then that's their choice. But just to go back and, penalize people, who probably didn't know what they were supposed to do, just doesn't seem right. If we were able to do it at all, we would have tons of I can't even tell you where we would locate these supposed property transfer affidavits from prior years, to even know if they exist. And the margin for error would be huge. You'd be charging somebody a penalty, and they could say, well, I did file it, and I mean, I don't know if they filed it or not. Just because I can't find it down there in all those boxes of papers doesn't mean they didn't really do it, which opens up the door of penalties for somebody who doesn't deserve a penalty. It's just daunting. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think we need to start fresh. We've got a good system in place to move forward with it. I think that's the most fair thing to do. I guess that's all I have to add. Thank you.
Does the city attorney have any input on this issue?
Mr. Mayor, we have discussed this, city assessor, city manager, and my office, and this was the only feasible resolution that we could find to the statute, the requirements of the statute, and how to be fair to the citizens of Benton Harbor. So we have discussed this.
So at this point, it's been presented in a way that will hold the residents harmless and even businesses based upon the circumstances. But moving forward, there would be legalities that could be exacted.
Yes, Your Honor. It is only going back in time with the full suggestion that it's going to be implemented to its fullest extent going forward.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
I'm stuck on the explanation that our city assessor gave, because I kind of better understand it. It's almost like I heard you saying, if it's raining and if it's got arrows in it, it's going to hit the just as well as the unjust. I just find it very hard to believe that the county of Berrien has allowed, I mean, I can go over there and in any property up on the second floor, they have recordings of everything. I can't believe that the county of Berrien has let something like this slide by.
Can I speak?
Chair recognizes the city assessor.
The property transfer affidavit is only filed with the assessing office. The county of Berrien, that is where you record and file your actual deed. But the property transfer affidavit form is only filed with the city assessor.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Like everybody expressed in our committee meeting, we did have a very in-depth conversation about this. And somebody even talked about the assessor, the former assessor, God bless that person, is one of the reasons why we're in the situation that we're in with a lot of the properties, with a lot of the things that did not happen. So coming in and starting fresh is what we need to do on this particular issue, but our former assessor left us in a whole world of trouble. Is the reason why we have to do some of the stuff that we're doing. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
I'm not gonna throw the former assessors under the bus, but I think a lot of it is the blame to City Hall as a whole, getting this message and educating, getting information out, educating our citizens and about the processes that goes on at City Hall. So with this moving forward, what is the plan to make people aware of that? Is there a plan, or there's some type of education piece or something? If you state that through the chair, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Manager.
What we would have to do, or what we're going to do, is this will be made available to the assessor in the assessor's office, so that when the notification comes in to the assessor's office that someone has transferred property, she can then send a letter to that property owner and let them know this is what you need to do. That's one thing. Second thing is that it'll be posted on the website on the assessor's page for that purpose, so that we will know. And then there will be things placed here at City Hall, so it's going to go in the papers. We can go on the radio, we can go everywhere. But again, we want to make sure we get out the message as much as possible, and again, make it as much of an educational piece. It's not, it is a way to make money, but it's not to just make money and not tell anybody why they're being punished, if you will. That's our plans, Commissioner Singleton.
I do want to observe the limits. We'll recognize the Commissioner at Large, Adams.
We're in debate, right?
There are rules that govern the thing.
For clarity, not throwing anybody under the bus, past or present. So many of them have hit me. So as long as the taxes on on any of the said properties were paid, there was no need to register. I'm trying to get understanding as well. If I can get that there was no need to register.
So if there's a transaction, a land transaction, then it must be recorded with the assessor's office. So if there's a quit claim deed, whether it be a city lot, whether it be a land contract, whether it be a purchase, it must be registered with the city assessor. If not, then that's where the problem comes in. Even if it's inheritance, where the father wielded the property to his daughter and now it's in her name, it must be registered with the city assessor.
Great clarity. Thank you.
Call for the question.
Commissioner Harrelson?
I'd like to abstain.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
No.
Commissioner Adams,
No.
Commissioner Henderson,
Just for clarity, what is the vote for? Just for clarity.
this is for,
To approve
To
or
approve.
disapprove?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This brings us to the conclusion of our commission agenda as it relates to the business of the city. And we move to staff comments. I begin with our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Deputy Clark.
For this evening, the director has just asked me to have everyone refer to the public safety report from the committee meeting last week, with nothing new to add for this week.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Director Jennings.
The Community and Economic Development Department continues to work on our projects, and we are currently looking for Benton Harbor homeowners for our minor home repair project. So any residents that are interested and that may potentially be applicants for minor home loan repairs up to $5,000, please come to the office to fill out an application.
Chair recognizes the City Assessor Story.
Thank you. It is possible that before the next commission meeting, assessment notices will be out to all the property owners in the city of Benton Harbor. If you have any questions, you're welcome to call the office. And then the board of review dates will be on the notices. And if you wish to make an appointment for the board of review, you call the office and schedule an appointment.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the City Attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. No report.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the City Clerk.
I have a notice of nominating petition deadline. Please be advised that the deadline for filing nominating petitions for the August 6th, 2019 primary election is April 23rd, 2019 at 4 p.m. Nominating petitions will be accepted in the office of the city clerk for the following City of Benton Harbor offices: Mayor, 1 4-year term; Commissioner at Large, 2 4-year terms; First Ward Commissioner, 1 4-year term; Second Ward Commissioner, 1 4-year term. A minimum of 25 signatures registered in their prospective ward, if applicable, is required. A maximum of 50 signatures will be accepted for certification. Also, the clerk has provided copies of Commissioner Henry's protest of ruling from the February 4th, 2019 City Commission meeting that will be reflected in the February 19th meeting minutes. That's all I have.
Thank you. Chair recognizes the City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to let everyone know, citizens as well as the commission, the city did receive a grant from the DEQ in regards to scrap tires. More information will be coming. The proposed date is May 17th of this year. This was a grant that was part of the Southwest Michigan Consortium, of which the city of Benton Harbor is a recipient of the grant dollars. So we will be bringing more information as it becomes available. We just notified of that. Also, to just come behind what Director Jennings said regarding the minor home repair, we are looking for minor home repair prospective people, residents, making sure that they will have to fill out the application, go through the screening processes to get to that end. So I just want to make sure that's understood. Medical marijuana application processing, we have gone through the, we're currently working on the processor part of it, provisioning center, and the provisioning centers are next. We have had we've gone through the growers and we've been in contact with the growers. There were some deficiencies in some of the applications, and we've communicated that back to the applicant, and they're working on those to correct them, to get that to the city clerk within 30 days of the notice, which is going to be March 7th. I hear a lot about the income tax and the road plans and what they are. They're all conceptual now. There is no hard, fast plan that exists. That is just the recommendation that will go to the oversight committee, which will then make a recommendation to the city commission. Once that vote is done, then the plans are final. So what you're seeing is what's being recommended. It's not what's going to be done necessarily. It still has a couple more vettings to go through before anything happens and any money is spent. And the monies that we have received for the income tax, they're still there. It's not being not used. The money is being held until we figure out what needs to be done per the plan. And then also, as we talk about fixing the roads, this is a tough time to fix roads. It's tough because the asphalt plants are closed, and the asphalt companies that do the work, they're not working at this time. So we're trying to do what we can, getting asphalt, if we can, from other municipalities to do the work we can. But again, it's not in abundance because of the time of year. So we ask that you still remain patient, and like I said, going forward, we will address them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. The chair recognizes Commissioner Harrelson of the 4th Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens for coming out, seeing your government in action. Tonight, I like to thank Ms. Kennard for her concern about the city and what's going on in the city. I don't take it lightly when I hear complaints. I do understand some of the things that's going on, and I wish it was different. Also, I'd like to thank our county commission for coming out, keeping us updated on what's going on in our county. And Mr. and Mrs. Abdullah, I hear you, because grocery store is what I talk about a lot. And I would love to see us with a Kroger's in Benton Harbor. I would love to see us with some stores downtown in Benton Harbor. So with that, also, can someone give us an answer why no one answers the telephone? I get this all the time. Why no one answers the phone? They say they be on hold for so long and then it hang up. And they call back and then nobody answers. So is there a problem, or can we get somebody down here just to answer the phone no matter what? If everybody too busy to answer the phone, take notes and then get back, let them get back with them when you answer them. But we should do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry, the 3rd Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. I want everybody to be aware that they're filling potholes right now. Earlier I saw them dumping asphalt in a hole. They didn't pack it down. I didn't run over it either. So it is happening, but it's not happening in the most efficient way. I would ask the city manager, a couple of weeks ago, I emailed and asked for the attorney to respond to an issue about a resolution that we passed by the majority, and his comment was that the words weren't right. And I asked the city manager to ask the attorney to fix it, to make it give it the language of what we intended it to be. So far, I've not gotten the answer. And that's one reason why I got this appeal in, because I was shut down and said that I was out of order for asking. But I'm not out of order. My only job in this is to inquire and research and help make legislation. But those two things are much needed. Before I do anything making legislation, I need to know what's going on. And I asked the city manager, I've not gotten an answer yet. I emailed him, I've not got an answer yet. And I'm asking right now, since the attorney is here, and he knows exactly what resolution, and he made the statement, I didn't, and I would like for him to straighten it out.
Are you finished with your comments?
Was that a motion?
If you don't do it today, in 2 weeks, Mr. Duncan, I'll be right back asking the same question.
Well, there is a process, but you know, I'll explain in my comments. I'll address it.
Is that to say that the attorney will not answer our question?
At this time, we're in observance of your commission comments.
Well, I make a motion that the attorney answer my email and respond to the resolution that the full body voted on, and he made the comment that it was worded wrong, and now.
And what type of motion are you making, Commissioner? Because there's only 2 types of motions that you can make.
Well, I demand that I'm allowed information, and I know that the attorney works directly under the body, although none of us can go to him and ask him a question except you, Mayor, and the city manager. So I've asked you and the city manager to ask this question because it's something essential and it's something that the full body wants. Might not be what city manager wants or that the attorney wants, but it's something that the body voted on. And I would like an answer.
Support.
Motions, Commissioner Henry, it's a main motion and a secondary motion. And that's related to business, spending money, adopting projects. So you just can't out of nowhere say I'm gonna make a motion.
That's adopting a process. We have made it.
It doesn't say a process, a project.
Project, that's one of our projects.
But that's not
the
on the
city
order.
commission voted on it and it passed.
But that's not on the agenda of business.
It makes no difference. I appealed and you shut me down then. I'm gonna come back until somebody answers my question.
What I would advise you is to
I'm not asking for I'm asking for the attorney.
To take whatever you're saying through the legislative committee and those
It
changes.
has been through the legislative committee.
Yep.
It's gone through committee. That's why we voted on it.
Yep.
And that's why we want it.
Yep.
And he come back and tell us it's incorrect.
Yep.
This is not the first time our attorney has told us we were incorrect. But he never come back to answer the
When this
question.
council makes its
And
own.
I'm asking for the response from our employee. He works directly under us, although we didn't hire him. He's part of the state. The state put him in here. But still, we should have an answer to all our questions. Legal counsel should be available to all of us, not just some of us.
The resolution.
So the council rules, there is a process to amend them. And
You shut me down, Mayor.
the process was not followed.
You shut me down. The process was not followed. You're absolutely right. It wasn't followed.
And
You were supposed to give me an appeal, and you didn't. So yes, you were right. The process wasn't working because you blew me away.
We're governed under Robert's rules.
We're governed under policies and procedures,
Based on
and our
city
policies and
ordinance.
procedures said I have an opportunity to appeal any decision that the officer does. You are that officer.
But I do have a obligation as the chairperson to keep order.
Well, keep order,
And
but
if a council person is doing something that's against the rules or out of order, then it's my responsibility to keep the business.
but you have to do the same thing, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
The policies and procedures said I have an opportunity to appeal.
But
You did not give me that
the
opportunity.
appeal is within a context. So.
Ask the attorney what it's all about then, because I don't think you're an attorney like I'm not. So let's have the attorney step in. We're paying him a lot of money. And he won't answer none of our questions. He ain't got nothing to say about nothing. Oh, God.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Jones.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Hope you got an earful. Hope you understand a lot. Come back again with more questions, more queries. To the Abdullahs, I had an opportunity to go back down the street. I missed your hole, but I hit a couple of more. Also hit a deep pit over on Odin after everything was built. My front end towed in from the driver's side, leaning from the passenger side. And just to tag along from the last meeting, from our Commissioner at Large, Mr. Singleton, yes, we need to make sure these roads are safe. Let's not forget Firestone, where our tires hit things, and it wasn't really Firestone's fault, but sometimes it's the roads. Let's think about people's safety. A lot of us driving some low vehicles, and as we hitting these holes, we getting lower. Striking engines, striking engine mounts, oil pans, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's insurance is not holding up. They're willing to drop you before they're willing to help you fix your vehicle. So, whether it had to be sand, dirt, cremations, we need to fill these holes. Let's also look at, again, words. Charismatic. Words. Scheme. Words. And I believe Mr. Kennard pointed out something I had mentioned before, and I feel the same way. I feel highly disrespected. And that's something I spoke on earlier today, about being respected and being disrespected. As we respecting these people in their individual processes for their profession or whatnot, if they're doing a presentation, they ought to do a professional presentation, not half-tail. And us as a body, I feel not only disrespected from that individual, I feel disrespected by the body. Since we're supposed to be leaders and have all this lovely experience and even education, we should know a difference between a presentation and a mild display. I'm not swayed by words so easy, maybe because of my past experiences in life and how I was brought up in this city. Not saying I'm jaded by everything that comes to me, but I have a very discerning eye to details at times. If we are to be professional about how we care about our business, we need to maintain that, not just for here and there and picks and pans. No, I'm not going to throw that sus up under the bus, because I also know that sus was trying to piece together some things that wasn't present, because I had to hand walk somebody myself down here to get some things done. And it's not a joy for me thinking I'm helping somebody out when I'm actually doing a disservice, because I'm not all the way together, thinking I have all this confidence that they will get their problems resolved, and they don't get resolved. That hurts me. And I understand the mayor trying to restore order to a certain extent, but if we're gonna do this, we need to do it right, not trying to start right here when there's a lot of things. If we're gonna do things right, that means a lot of things gotta be cleared up from the past. And if those things did out of order then, that means there may be things that we need to revisit. Like any other thing, Robert Rules is updated yearly. There's a different publication like any other book, but it's used as a guide, not a true Bible. If any of you been in organizations, corporation or whatnot, everybody adopt certain aspects of the Robert Rules and Regulations. Where a person get 2 times to talk, any time after that, the majority get the rule if that person need to speak again, only if it's pertaining to that issue at hand and it need to be said. So we all need to keep in mind these words, respect, disrespect, because if you're really sensitive, you don't need to be talking to anybody in a disrespectful manner if you can't take it back.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd just like to thank all the residents for coming out tonight. We've heard a lot of information given. Thank you, County Commissioner, for your wonderful report, and for all the citizens and people who came out and spoke about issues and concerns that they had. Really appreciate your concern for the city, and we do hear you. As the city manager did talk about with the city income tax and the roads, we want, as Gretchen Whitmer said, we want to fix the damn roads because we know that there is something wrong with them, so we want them fixed. And so, as he talked about, they are recommendations. At the end of the day, this city council gets to vote on what happens with those funds once that happens. They're presenting a plan of what they think. We live in the city, so we know what we want to have fixed and repaired. So we do have the say-so at the end about what will happen in the city. There's a lot of talk about things that's happening. There are people in this room that sit on many committees. They should be able to answer any questions that you have that we don't answer. The income tax boards, there are people in this room that sit on those boards that has the same exact information, sometimes even more, because they're in those rooms. They should know some of that information and also be able to answer some of those questions that you may have. If not, what's the point of sitting on boards if you can't answer those questions? There are many people that sit on those boards, people that sit on many boards, attend all kinds of meetings. They should be able to answer some of those questions. So I'd like to thank you again for coming out tonight and expressing any concerns that you had, the concerns that you do have. We appreciate that. So keep coming out, keep supporting. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you, citizens, also for coming out, sharing your concerns and your ideas and perspectives. I heard one about the grocery store, about how we're getting treated in some of these stores. Kind of remind me of a situation down in, I believe it was Eau Claire. It was a store there that it was a big grocery store. I can't think of the name of it now, but and they were not treating the Mexican population there in Eau Claire right, and what they did, they said we weren't going to take it disrespecting no more, and they start renting some buses and took their business elsewhere.
That's a good suggestion.
And the store closed down. Had another incident where the sports store that decided they didn't want to carry this stuff because the people supported Colin Kaepernick, and they didn't carry this stuff. People quit going to the store. They shut them down. I don't spend my money nowhere where I'm not, treated right. So if I have to hitchhike or walk or even do without, I don't spend my money there. I think what we need to do, look at even a co-op situation, where the citizens could buy in and own the grocery store themselves. And so there's all kind of ways to deal with that. I think one time before it was talked about a co-op, but it have to be, if we want something, we gotta do it for ourselves, so, I think the citizens have to, and we all get together and decide what we're gonna do and open up one ourselves, we become owners, you know, stakeholders in it, so, just on that. But there's a whole lot of work to be done here at Benton Harbor, whole lot of work, still a whole lot of problems. We're not gonna solve them all in 2019, you know, but I think we ought to, you know, do the best we can to solve as many of them as possible. So I'm looking forward for the challenge, and hope you are too. August, what is it? April the 23rd. She says that's the deadline to you know, put in petition for any of these seats that's up. You know, so you know, so if there's somebody who live outside the city but have a lot of interest in the city, there's plenty of land here, that plenty of houses for sale, so you can, you know, probably buy one or rent one and move in and come on board and help support you know, what you believe in. We need all kind of help, so I'm looking forward to the fight until I can't fight no more. So that's it.
Commissioner Ice.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens coming out tonight, support the local government, and Commissioner Yarbrough for update, and great job you do as president of the Benton Harbor City Library. Does a great job down there. So don't forget to bring your families out there. We got activities for the toddlers up to adults. So don't forget to support your public library. You know, grocery store, it's a good idea. You know, I think if all of us come together, we can make this happen. You know, all of us support black businesses. You know, start there. You know, we don't have to go to them stores. We don't want to. I see it at Myers. They go by, they be pulling carts, pop, all that. Get them 89 cents. Jack the price up to $2. You know? That's bad business, you know. So we don't, it's up to us. If we don't go there, they can't stay open. So it's up to us to come together. We can make it happen. You know, we can call it item store. Fresh produce, healthy eating, organic, neck bone.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, we gotta support each other. It's all about us. We come together. We can make this happen. Grocery store, you know, that we don't have to. You can be walking distance. Right. We don't put our own people to work in the store. You know, we all put 10 here, 20 there. You know, 100. If all of us come together and put our money, our loot, monies together, we can have a grocery store. Now, who want to put up the money? Who want to start? Who got the first 50? We can start adding it up. Sign the names, taking money. We're going to store. But you know, this city is, you know, we got potholes, we got trees down, we got this and that. But people still want this city. People still want to come and get this city. They didn't call it the crime-ridden city, the drunkest city, the poorest city. But people still want this city where it's a diamond on the lake and they want it. So if we come together, it's our city. We just got to make it better, come together and make it happen. That's it. No matter how, you can't go down, you got to come up. Can't be like Israel. Israel went around circle. The promised land right there. 40 years. 40 years. Our time is here. It's here. The promised land. Benton Harbor is here. But we just got to want to come together in unity and make it happen. God bless you. God bless Benton Harbor.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, residents, for taking time out of your busy schedule, coming down and find out how your government is working for you or not. I want to thank our new Director of Economic Development for that tad bit of information. I was just attacked verbally in the store today, just this evening, about home repairs. Thank you. I can spread that word. good word, a grocery store. Good luck with that. I tried. It's been every bit of 3, 4, 5 years probably that I've been paying into somebody else's way out in North Carolina, thinking that I could entice my community into doing the same with the offering of putting up the first $100. Where y'all at? Nobody ever shows up, but we talk real good. Actually, the store up here that's been sitting, we've tried to get with the gentleman to see if in fact he would do something to allow the community to take hold of the empty little spot and open it up into a grocery store. I think he's an ex-officer or something, but somebody is holding up the process. Somebody somewhere is holding up process, and I don't know where it is, because I thought that we had the power to get those type of things done, but something is real wrong within this realm. It's a dead cat or 2 or 3 or 4, something's on the line somewhere. I want to go back to something that City Manager Watson mentioned, because I was actually going to speak on it. Several years ago, under emergency management, we entered into an agreement with Southwestern Michigan Consortium Council, and all of a sudden, wow, we're finally going to get some grant dollars for some tires. Have they been getting money all along? We opted in, and the person that was designated to sit on that board never come back with anything to inform us of nothing. It's been sitting dormant like some others that we don't go. I can't be everywhere. I'm just one person and one vote. I try to make it my business to know and be where I need to be for my community. Again, I'm just one person. We need the residents to get involved too. Don't just come down here talking, complaining. We need all hands on deck. And this is the 5th year for My Brother's Keeper annual summit in the wake of Trayvon Martin's death, happening this month. And there's some great things going on and about to go down in Benton Harbor. So just stay woke. And when we stay woke or wake up, for those of us that are asleep, and stop acting like the crab in the bucket, get rid of that syndrome, we can come together and get a whole lot done. But that's got to happen first. Bear Pharmaceutical over in South Bend is closing down. I wonder why. So many medications are messing up people's kidneys, liver, and heart disease. There's a new medication on the horizon. Yeah, it happens to be medical marijuana, and it's going down. And we need those jobs. And we need things to get them moving faster. If we can get some professional people in the right place to do what needs to be done in the form of the applications that these business people have paid the city of Benton Harbor for, to look them over and do due process in making it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the residents for coming out as it relates to the city income tax. As we speak, as people are filing their taxes, they're being made aware of what is owed to the city of Benton Harbor. Some have asked, well, why haven't we started spending the money? When are we going to start spending the money? The tax season concludes April 30th. I was made aware one business who was in the township thought that they were supposed to withhold, and they were taken out for everybody and paid to the city of Benton Harbor. And this is one of the reasons why we're not just collecting money, running out spending it, because that money has to be refunded. Because illegally we can't hold the money that was paid to us by this business who just did not know. And there's other cases as well. So we have to go through due diligence to find out what needs to be refunded, what needs to be captured, and then make a report to the residents of how much has been collected in totality. The city of Benton Harbor collects approximately $2.3 million in property taxes from residents, businesses. the bridge on Empire, it's an estimated $350,000 just to fix that one bridge. If you take that out of the 2.3 million, which also covers salaries and everything. So the infrastructure problem, the issue that the city of Benton Harbor has, the money is not there in a magic wand to fix it. We don't have the money. $17,000 is the average household income in the city of Benton Harbor. So money is not there. So for everybody that's saying, oh, we gotta fix the streets, let's fix these streets, how you gonna do it? It costs. So that's why we have to look at, I don't disagree, if we wanna see a second opinion, that's great. But what I don't want is a paralysis from analysis where we get 1, 2, 3 different opinions and work is not being done. Because at some point, this body must make some real hard decisions to say, these are the areas that we're going to fix. This is the approach we're going to take in fixing them. And agree, even to disagree on what that looks like. But what we all can agree on, something must be done. In the neighborhoods. But keep in mind, manage your expectations. Because if you only have Chevy money, don't expect a Benz or a Bentley, because you can't pay for it. So that's just the fact of the matter. You know, I will say that if you look at other nationalities, Chinese, Japanese, Asians, Arabs, they're not protesting. They're not holding a picket sign. They're not saying, give me a job. We want a grocery store. They go out and do it. They're not even saying, get out and vote. You don't see no signs. I was just in Chinatown in Chicago. I didn't see no signs saying get out and vote. No sign, no protest. People working together collectively to build and rebuild their communities. So in the spirit of Black History Month, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you don't have to ask what needs to be done. He said, get up and do it. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson? Yes. Commissioner Henry? Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Isaac? Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad?
Yes.
Because he said, you can't answer for one person, you gotta answer for the whole body. So